Hello, this is Wholesome with your hair preservationist, Tasha Cruz. And basically, I'm your cosmetologist, your hairstylist, your hair preservationist. And yes, that is a mouthful, but there's a reason for that. So today we're going to talk about how do you select a hairstylist slash cosmetologist slash hair preservationist. So normally what people are usually looking for when they're thinking about their hair or how they want to wear their hair, or basically some of the hair goals that they may have, they're looking for someone who has knowledge of their hair. But the most important thing that people miss out on is the information and knowledge about the scalp. As we talk about your scalp, we have three parts. I want you to remember three parts, okay? So you have your dermis, your epidermis, and your subcutaneous area. So usually we think of hair as everything that you see outside flowing from your scalp. But I want you to think about hair as what starts from within. So when we're talking about your hair shaft, we're only talking about what's flowing from your scalp that you can visibly see. But the most important is the part that you cannot see, which is deeply planted within your epidermis, all right? So when you're talking about your scalp, we want to make sure that everything underneath that you're not seeing is actually being nourished. So the hair normally lays within a follicle. So if you think of a follicle is like an encasing, all right? So if I take my hand, this is gonna be your follicle, and then we're gonna say, whoop, there is your hair strand looking like this, hey, peeking out, saying hello to you. But underneath here, right, there are some wonderful things that are taking place, and there's a whole operating system underneath your scalp. All right, so when we want gorgeous hair, we have to look within. So within that subcutaneous layer of skin, because we said that the scalp is the most important thing about your hair, we want to make sure that your hair papilla, which is at the very bottom of your hair bulb. Remember, I told you this is the part that's sticking out, which is the hair shaft. And underneath here, underneath your follicle, you have the bulb. And underneath that bulb, guess what? There's something like a wire, which we call a papilla, something like a wire that gives your hair energy or a boost so that your hair can continue to grow or reproduce, or at least, you know, go through all of the life cycles of the hair. When you're eating, all right, there are a number of nutrients that your body intakes or not. Sometimes there are things that are blocking nutrients from getting into your hair papilla, all right? So we have vessels, nerves, and blood that is gonna nourish, all right, the part of the hair shaft and the bulb underneath here. And you want to make sure that you're getting proper nutrition. So really healthy hair starts from within. So if you are wanting to have nourished hair, you have to nourish your body. And a lot of times when I have clients that come in, I always ask them certain questions like, how much water have you had for today? If they say nothing, well, guess what? That is not really a good sign of wanting to have healthy hair. So basically, if you're just getting water alone, your water is going to transport all of the nutrients to your hair from your papilla into your hair bulb, okay? And so when you are nourishing your hair, when you're nourishing your blood vessels, then you can almost be guaranteed some strong and healthy hair. What do we consider healthy hair? Healthy hair would be hair that has pretty good elasticity, which means your ability to stretch and return without breaking. So sometimes people may pull a strand of hair, or if they're losing a piece of hair or they shed a little bit, they can take a strand of hair and pull it and it will return without breaking. Now, that is just one way that we can tell that your hair is healthy. Then another way that we can tell your hair is healthy is the hair's porosity, which means that your hair has the ability to absorb moisture. And sometimes natural hair, or let's say kinky curly hair, can be a little extra porous, which means sometimes your hair seems a little dry depending on the texture of your hair. And really, texture is just, we only have about 4 different textures. It's going to be straight, wavy, curly, or kinky hair. So that is regardless of race, ethnicity, or whatever. There is really only 4 different textures of hair. So with that being said, with each texture, your hair is going to get a certain amount of moisture. And when we are talking about healthy hair, you want to make sure that your hair has the right amount of moisture in it. So that means that you have to pick the right products for your type of hair. And a lot of times if you're natural and you have kinky hair or curly hair or wavy hair, you're trying to maintain it or you're trying to nourish it on the outside, which is the hair shaft that we really take so much care into. And so when you're trying to find a product for your type of hair or your texture of hair, you really have to consider your actual texture, not everyone else's, but your texture of hair. Now, there are different reasons for your hair, your head having several different textures. Sometimes it could be the fact that you are stretching your texture, meaning a lot of times you have bands to pull your hair back, and basically you're kind of stretching the texture because it's not in the free fall position, which means the free fall is wherever it grows is wherever it's laying. But when you're pulling it back and it's not in its natural flow, then you are stretching your texture. So a lot of you ladies that like to wear your hair back, you're changing your texture. And yes, your hair texture can change, and a lot of people don't know that. Some of the most important things that you can put in your body for healthy hair is vitamin A, D, and E, okay? So a lot of times we are trying to figure out what the problem is with our hair, whether we're shedding or if our hair seems very dry. Usually a lot of that starts from within. But if you are, of course, drinking clean water, all right? Clean water, and all of that, the water is transporting the nutrients from your foods. I'm sure you're eating salmon if you're not allergic to fish. You're eating minimal amounts of beef because you can get protein from several other areas, especially your vegetables, your beans, you know, you're getting your fibers, you're getting your vitamin D for strong, strong bones, you're getting your vitamin E so that you can have supple skin. All of those things, if you're doing those things, those are first steps to healthy hair. So the negative things that you could place in your body is, of course, junk food. We all love junk foods. We love to snack. We love grease. We love potato chips. We love sugar. Some of our main vices. The sugar is definitely a blocker of nutrition. It definitely prohibits oxygen to your body, number one, because your hair definitely needs oxygen. So if you were to think of your hair and your scalp together, so let's think of a garden, okay? So in a garden you have your, the top soil, right? And so underneath that soil you have your oxygen, you have the nutrients from your fertilizers or whatever you decide to put in your garden or your head or your scalp as it relates to your hair and scalp. There are things that are pretty much nourishing your garden, okay? Everything from within. But then on the outside of that garden, you see this beautiful flower, right? You see a flower that looks like it's had plenty of rain, it's had plenty of sunshine, it's had plenty of nutrients. So you really need to think of your hair, your skin, your entire body basically as a garden, because there are certain things that you need to have a thriving or a beautiful garden. So remember, the most important thing that you can do is make sure you are getting all of the nutrients within your body, underneath that scalp and that skin, so that you can have a healthy head of hair. All right, so think about within, all right, because it's within.
Say the Arts TV. You know what it be. Say the Arts TV. Let's go.